Hey everybody. So today I'm going to be talking about how I got into the whole New Age movement and why I decided to get out of it. So how I got into it, it all started in 2016. I met a friend. I had a friend who was into the whole New Age movement, and she convinced me to go see a psychic. And I was somebody that I was open-minded, but I was never really interested in seeing a psychic or a medium or any of those things. It wasn't something that intrigued me. So that was my first experience kind of with the whole occult and new age movement. As far as what the psychic told me, a lot of it has not come true. And it kind of led me to believe that it was just a very good cold reading. She did know some things about me that were a little bit more than a generality, that was a little bit more specific than I would have thought. But for the most part, it was kind of it was vague. It was a very general reading, however, so it wasn't anything specific. But she did know things about me that I was a little surprised by. I can admit that. And it was a few months after this experience that I became more involved with kind of new age practices. Before this, I had a pretty consistent meditation practice that I picked up, but that was really it for the most part. And once I kind of started uh, getting more involved, my life kind of started going downhill. I had a semi-successful business that I just launched and started, and I ended up having to shut it down because just of a lack of funds and just mismanagement of money. I was also just fired from a unsatisfying job, which I didn't really care about, but it it was just the next thing that just happened to go wrong. Uh, and then I had applied to well over, maybe I would say, close to 2,000 jobs in the course of a year, just on Indeed, on other website forums, calling places up, LinkedIn, and to no avail. I couldn't land anything, right? I got in interviews and I got some offers here and there, but they were from positions that I knew uh, I wouldn't be in for very long because I would just hate it, right? I would end up quitting or being fired. And then later on, aside from these two things, I had my health started taking a toll, and I developed what a lot of people would consider to be leaky gut. So that's not something that's really accredited by the medical community. Basically, everything I ate would make me sick. So, wheat, grains, nuts, dairy, gluten, right? I was really only eating sweet potatoes and organic meat. And I ended up losing like 25 pounds in the course of 6 months. I was losing my hair. I had high levels of cortisol, um, adrenal fatigue, very extreme insomnia. I was sleeping maybe 45 hours a night at best. And this is kind of what I would consider this time period to be my dark night of the soul, right? And I started waking up a little bit more. I began to become aware of things in my life that were draining me, like toxic friendships, and toxic family members. And it kind of, I guess I was led to, I would like to say I was led to by God, just the right information. And I realized that I was a codependent. And this was primarily caused by the narcissistic abuse that I had gone through as a child. And I became very interested in learning more about narcissistic personality disorder. So I spent maybe 300 plus hours so far, I would say. Just reading up on it, watching YouTube videos, even talking to a therapist just to answer some questions that I had that couldn't be answered on the internet. And once I realized that what was going on, that I'm surrounded by a lot of narcissists in my family, I kind of I dove into the family history a little bit more, and I saw that there was generational patterns, and I saw that even codependency was a pattern that is generational, right? That was something that I learned myself. But there were a lot of things that the psychology world couldn't answer. And one of the things was, why why does this get passed down? And why do some children get it and others don't? Right? Why do some children become narcissist from their narcissistic parent? Well, let me rephrase that. Right? So to become a narcissist, you have to have been abused. And one of the more common ways is for you to become a narcissist is if you have a narcissistic parent. That's kind of one of the, it's like a learned behavior. So I was curious, how come I myself didn't become one, but my sister did, for instance, right? And these questions, they couldn't be explained by science or psychology. And then it was also around this time when I was studying narcissistic personality disorder that I came across something called the Jezebel spirit. And this was something that is talked about mainly in, I would say, Pentecostal churches, not really the Roman Catholic Church. Essentially, it is a demonic spirit that is what many in the psychology community would say is someone who's afflicted with narcissistic personality disorder. And I was fascinated by it purely because narcissistic personality disorder was coined in 1980. So we've only been studying this since 1980, right? But the Jezebel spirit has been talked about for, centuries, right? She was somebody who was in the Bible, right? Jezebel. So you could say since the time of the Bible, right? And at this time, I was just in a very emotional state, learning all these things, how I had been deceived and lied to, and why I am the way that I am. And I started to call out certain family members who I know for a fact have narcissistic personality disorder. And it was at this time that I saw, for the first time in my life, I saw a demonic entity. So my sister, she had picked a fight with me over something silly, and she kept provoking me, and I caved. I couldn't, you can only ignore someone for so long. And we ended up getting in a screaming match, and my parents were there. And I just saw in my mother's eyes that they were just all black, and just this look that was, I can't explain it, but it was just so evil. And I just knew that I don't know what it was. It didn't register until much later on in my life, a couple of months later, that it was something actually, it was a demon. I had no idea. And that was the first time that I saw it. And some time later, maybe I would say a month later, it was my birthday. And uh, my sister and my brother-in-law came over, and I was changing the channel on the TV, and I take the remote and I put it down to the side of me. As I'm turning, I look over and I see all black eyes in my brother-in-law, and again, just this very evil, malignant look. And I was actually, at the time, I was being attacked. Once they got there, once they came over to my house, I just started getting migraines, headaches, this very sick feeling, and I knew I was being attacked. At this point, I had a good idea that this was a psychic attack on myself. So I was shit scared because I knew now what was going on, and I walked upstairs and I started praying because I was so scared. And I think part of the reason why that this happened, why I don't know why they showed themselves to me or if God himself showed this to me, but I think the fact that I was waking up, the fact that I was learning what was actually real, that these are demonic entities that are influencing and even controlling people to a certain degree. I think they I think that made me a target for them. And I just after this point I became more involved with the new age topics because it kind of talks about these things, uh, evil entities and demonic entities. So I was turning to that to learn about it. But then all of a sudden one day I just had this thought that what if this is all just a program in itself, right? What if the angels we perceive are actually demons masquerading as angels? And when you consider the fact that they are technologically advanced than us, more technologically advanced, they could definitely manipulate us into believing these things. And somehow this seed began to grow, and I started thinking about it more and more and more. I came across a truther YouTube channel on my recommended list. And basically, if you don't know what that is, that's a YouTube channel that exposes what's going on in the world and society with the elite, the Illuminati. It is real, it's not a fiction, and other secret societies. And I saw how the elite people of the world are actually just Satanists. Really. I know it's hard to believe, but there's so many facts to prove this. So many people have come forward and they've talked about uh, satanic ritual abuse, right? And you can Google this for yourself if you want. I believe I bought a book. I didn't get a chance to read it yet. It's called Transformation of America by uh, Kathy O'Brien, and you can look up more on that if you want. And I saw some of the patterns of how some of the things that these people that were Satanists and athletes and celebrities they believed in, and what we ourselves in the New Age movement believed in, and how similar they were. It was the same thing. And then it kind of just dawned upon me that we've been deceived into actually worshiping Satan without us knowing. I realized that my string of bad luck that I was going through was actually demonic oppression. So I I turned to Jesus Christ. I know I don't want you to think I'm a Bible thumper, right? I'm a very logical and analytical person. So I don't want to come across as that. I was raised Roman Catholic, but I never really got too much into my own faith because of just how corrupt the church is. But I never realized that just because the Roman Catholic Church is corrupt, that doesn't mean that Christianity or I can't is corrupt or I can't have a relationship with Jesus or God. So the Roman Catholic Church basically turns me off to Christianity, and I think that's why I was so uh, attracted to the whole New Age movement because it was just a different thought process and perspective. But once you see that the agenda of the elite, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and so on are to destroy Christianity, and it says so in the Freemason Bible, right? If you YouTube Freemason Bible, I saw a video. I'll try and link it if I can find it. But they explicitly state that their goal is to destroy Christianity. And after seeing these demonic entities and being affected by them, I know without a doubt that God is real, and so is Jesus, right? And that we are in a spiritual war that's going on that we can't even see. And when you really look at the facts, I know, and I hope that the fact that I was involved in the whole New Age process could help kind of just help you look and see a different perspective if you are involved with it, right? Because I was in it. I thought I was an indigo child, a star seed, and I thought I had some earth angel parts to me. I had many other things and experiences, but when you really look at it, it is actually, if you can communicate with these things, they are actually demonic. I know it's hard to believe. This is just, I know I'm not really showing you that many facts in this video, so I'm going to link a video that I watched that really helped explain what I'm trying to say to you in a much more factual way. And I'm going to try to link some articles and other things like that. So that's just, it is scary that if you really look at the history of the whole New Age movement, you can see that it was started, a lot of it is satanic practices and a lot of, you know, things that are actually about Satan himself and worshiping him. So I hope this video helps. If it did, please share it with somebody. Maybe I'm sure if you're a new ager, you know other new agers. Please just try and look at the facts. I know I was caught up in it too. I believed for like with a conviction a lot of this stuff in the uh new age philosophies. I believed it with such conviction that I thought it was real. But just know that it is a deception. It is to deceive you. It is to keep you distracted. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you find the answers you're looking for.